Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the first session of Run the Docs. So essentially, what we're doing here is just like going through some docs and seeing if we can actually learn something new, whether that's like an SDK, a code base, a framework, something of that nature. My name's Andrew, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Docs.dev. So let's jump into it. So today's session's actually on MCP. So like MCP is something that we've been hearing a lot about, and you've been seeing a lot on sort of like socials and things of that nature. But if I'm being honest, like I know what MCP is, but have I actually done a lot of work or created an MCP server or something of that nature? And the answer is like really no. So like the goal of this is to see if I can go through this docs website and also leverage this like GitHub code space to basically figure out like, hey, how well does this equip me to sort of like get started? And of course, we can use things like Copilot or like ChatGPT and things of that nature. So let's sort of like just jump in. So if we start here, MCP is an open protocol that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs. It's a standardized way to sort of like connect like your model to like an MCP client. So like I have a general idea of what an MCP client is, but let's sort of like go a little bit further of what they're sort of highlighting. So MCP helps you build agents and complex workflows on top of LLMs. And LLMs frequently need to integrate with data and tools. A growing list of pre-built integrations. So like this is a good visualization. So this is super helpful. So like MCP could be like a Claude Desktop app, VS Code, Cursor, or really any sort of like a UI client that sort of interfaces with a model. And it sort of looks like it is just essentially the bridge between some sort of like other service. So here it looks like a data source, which, I think like a data source could be sort of vague. In my like understanding, this could be like, like the GitHub API services, or like, if you have something like, I don't know, a PostSQL service, a Postgres SQL service or something. But maybe they also mentioned like maybe this is just like thought around like, okay, we could connect to your file system or even like a local database on your computer. So this is where I think things get interesting. So we're not going to read all the docs because I think I sort of want to like limit this to about like half an hour or an hour to the most here. So my big goal is we sort of want to learn how to build like a server. So a big part of the series is not only just like reading the docs, but making sure we can do something actionable from the docs here. So get started building your own server to use in Claude for desktop and other clients. Many LLMs do not currently have the ability to fetch and forecast severe. Okay, so they're using like a weather example. We'll build a server that exposes two tools, get alerts and get forecast. Then we'll connect the server to an MCP host, in this case, Claude for desktop. So why Claude for desktop and not Claude AI? Because servers are locally run, MCP only supports desktop hosts. Okay. Hosts, core MCP concepts, files, do. Let's see. Okay, node version, make weather. Okay, this is great. So now, why don't we try making our first like weather one? Nope. I think my only worry here is that we're using a code space, and then let's see. I'm sort of lazy. I doubt this. Let's see if I can just do this. Okay. Awesome. So we've got like our weather, package JSON, and okay, we'll just change this to be like a module. So basically, looks like here. Oh, don't like that. Let's see what we got here in model, and then they want us to create like a TS config. So I always love it when docs are super actionable. So why don't we do TS config here? And sometimes I gotta be honest, is like always TS config JSON. Okay, looking good. And yeah, so we got this TS config JSON. Yep. What's next? So building your servers, importing packages, and setting up the instance. So it looks like we get this main package here from model context SDK server. So I'm guessing we like npm install this or something of that nature. We hit the weather API, and then so this is just a regular API here. And then, okay, I guess this is important. This is their own construct of like, this is an MCP server instance, right? So basically we create this function, which looks like your regular, like, REST fetch call. We're creating some sort of interface called an alert feature. This formats an alert to, I'm guessing, to be like a pretty like string or something. Forecast, this is all very uniquely tied to this like weather service. So I'm going to keep on going to see if this ties back to the concept of that sort of server instance. And it looks like this is sort of the meat of it is like, here we sort of define like, hey, here's the get alert. So I'm guessing this is the tool execution handler that is responsible for actually executing the logic of each tool. So we get alerts, we get weather alerts for the state. Looks like we're using like Zod for this to sort of format it. Oh, that's a bit weird. And then we're using state. Okay, again, I'm not going to get into the details of all this like specific weather stuff. So hit this API, and then we get some sort of response back. So if I'm understanding this right, it looks like this is how we register a tool, is we do server.tool. We then have, I'm guessing, namespaces. So like, I'm guessing this is something where we like say, hey, Claude, do X. We would say, hey, Claude, do get alerts or get weather alerts for a state. That's actually interesting. I guess these are just two ways to trigger it, or maybe they're related. And then we also get forecast and get weather. Okay. This looks pretty straightforward. This looks like I think this is just leveraging the function up here. Yep. Okay. So I think this would make sense. And then we just sort of run it here. And then testing your server. So this makes sense. This is like, well, actually, I don't know what this is. Studio server transport. Finally implement running this server. See, this is something I'm not as familiar with. Did they mention this? So just a little feedback. They might have mentioned this, or maybe this was in passing. So Studio server, maybe there's somewhere else in the docs where they actually mention what Studio server transport is, but I could have, in this tutorial, I sort of missed it. But I think that's okay, because this is like a more actionable like guide here. So you can always find concepts and references, but let's see. This main function, we do new Studio server transport, and then our server connects to that transport. So I'm guessing this is the part that actually connects your code to being like accessible by something, but I could be wrong there. Testing your server with Claude Desktop. Here you can install the latest version, and okay, that makes sense. You will then add your servers in the MCP servers. Now this is the thing that I'm like super interested in, is the MCP like JSON here. You'll then add your servers in the MCP key. So it looks like this would just like talk to an index.js thing here. And then there's an MCP named weather. Save the file, test with the commands. That's the weather in Sacramento. Okay, this is awesome. I love this section. The client sends your question to Claude. Claude analyzes the available tools to use. The results are sent back. Okay, I think this looks great. I think the thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to maybe download Claude Desktop, and then I'm going to download Claude Desktop here, and then essentially reshare my screen real quick. And hey, I'm actually back. So I have installed the Claude Desktop client. So I had to do a couple things like verify my phone number and yada yada yada. So, but good news is we're here. Now I think the only bad news is that I don't think this is going to work inside of a code space because I saw some stuff talking about like Linux and all that good stuff, and then also remote things. I think it is possible, but like I think that would be like a lot of like Googling, and I think I sort of just want to use like the docs here. So I think what we're going to do is just transfer our work real quick, which would be like, not too bad. And this made it super easy. So like here, I've created like a new one here. So let's do a new terminal. Let's see, create stuff. Nice. And then let's do module. I usually like to do this in the code space because then it's just like an isolated environment, which is like super duper nice. Don't like that comma is there. And then, yeah, looking pretty good. And then, I think we want to create, oh yeah, we need a ts config. Oh yeah, and then here we go. And then, yeah, and I know everything that's going on in here. No. Let's see, gotta touch the source / index ts. Now we're cooking with gas here. Oh wait, I think we already did create it. Okay, cool. So we got our server instance here, if I'm understanding, hitting the weather API. And then here, we're going to define all those little helper functions, which again, I guess they're like interfaces. So these are all our little like helper functions. So like later we can extend this to be our own logic, I think. And then from here, we're going to register the server tools. Let me get rid of this. And yep, get forecasts, get alerts. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. So thank you, copy and paste button. And then we can run the server, which I think, sort of speed running this, but I think we define this to call everything else. Server transport for Studio, this communicates with an end by reading the current process of the SDN and writing the SD out. Oh, hey, there we go. We sort of got what that was. Catch. Now, for example, if you have, so we'll need to configure for whichever MCP servers you want to use to do this. Open your Claude Desktop app configuration. So this might be a part where like I sort of pause it just because, well, you need to open, we'll need to configure Claude for desktop in a text editor. Make sure to create the file if it doesn't exist. All right, code. Oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Okay, I don't have to, let's see. All right, this is such a nice time saver, you know. Absolute path, parent folder, whether, you know. Okay, so we can hit save here, and this is probably like, we have to replace that, launch it by running absolute folder. So I'm guessing that this wouldn't just like, or I think we have to sort of interpolate this, but weather index build, parent folder, but let's see. Parent folder. This is looking pretty good. then we're going to just maybe restart this, they said. Interesting, okay. Oh, I know why. We have to start our server. Save the files. I don't think I ever ran it. Oh, okay. Missed a critical step. Always do npm run build, they say, so let's do that. Very cool. Let's see. But what is really cool is, oh, so it looks like this is out of date. Or maybe, do Claude, quit Claude. Yeah, we've got weather. Let's go. Okay. So, install the latest version. And then let's try this. In Sacramento, that's actually my hometown. Let's go, Sacramento. Okay. Bum, bum. And then, okay, be nice, review each. I'm going to say allow once. Hey, this is great. Now, so it looks like we've got our working MCP server, which wasn't too bad. Let's see. Now I think the real test of understanding is if we can sort of like extend this. I would love to know more about server tool. So server.tool. Let's see. Example server, set request handler. Well, that's a good question. Did we have to do what? Let's understand this a little bit deeper. We have server, right? Then these are all our helper functions, right? These interfaces, you know, I'm not too much of an interface guy, but, you know, okay, we use SOD to like sort of guarantee the type, have like alerts data. Oh, actually, make NWS response. Okay. And then get weather forecast. So actually, if I hit back, if I get back and I hit the forecast, get alerts, get weather alerts for a state, running the server, commands. I think now we just sort of want to extend it to do something like silly, you know? So get alerts, describe server tool. I think server tool is like the thing where server.tool. It's actually probably be in the TypeScript SDK. Well, it would have been nice to stay on the docs, but you know, it is what it is. Calculate BMI. So tools that LMs take actions through your servers, improve tools with parameters. You know, so here I want to say return the weight. So we take the input of like the weight and the number. So why don't we test to see how this like works? Like calculate BMI, right? So this has nothing to do with this, but this is just another example. So this has nothing to do with weather, right? But the thing I'm going to test is can you calculate BMI? Yeah, actually this is a bad example because if I wanted to trigger it, because now I'm not sure if this is like tools are expected to perform computation. I don't know. I think I gotta see if I go to tools. Oh, okay, cool. So that like tells us, like, so if you go into the if you go to like the MCP thing, you'll notice weather has two. Huh. That's sort of weird. Like get forecast, calculate BMI. So I think this is really important in sort of this series of like run the docs, is that it's one thing to follow their example. It's another thing to basically, try to figure out how to get it working like on your own. So like here, I'm like struggling a little bit because I'm doing like calculate BMI, and now I'm just trying to confirm like this is actually working. So I think like how do you refresh? Disable, enable all tools, weather. Weather tool, BMI, calculate BMI. Maybe it was on the server object? Okay, now server object we just basically define it here. And then the server tool, state, calculate BMI. It's like my expectation would be, that it sort of shows up here. npm run build. How do I refresh my MCP server to show new tools? Running a TypeScript. How do I restart it so my MCP client refreshes the result? Yeah, okay, I guess npm, let's see, npm, I guess I built it, so I should have a dist. Cannot find module dist index.js. So what do we have here? Oh, okay, we put it into the build instead. Okay, so now that I have this, yeah, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here, so and that still says 2. Maybe BMI? No. Calculate BMI, server tool, calculate, connect transport. API weather status, BMI. Let's do a time box of like maybe 10 more minutes, and then we can like sort of give up here. So we have calculate BMI. So weather, console error, package JSON, build index. We have this, build.index.js. So, okay, it's pulling from the build. So I'm going to do a sanity check of, this says get alerts, right? So I'm going to say get alerts, yo. And then we'll see if when we basically build this, I don't even think we need to run this, but why not? Okay, disable all tools, enable all tools. Let's see, let's do Claude. I know there's like a better way to like restart it. Okay, I'm gonna try something a little bit more different. So build index.js. Weather is that build index.js. So modules index.js. So I'm just actually going to delete this. The trash. I'm going to try running it again. Let's see. Oop. And then let's see what this build looks like. We got get alerts. Do we have get alerts? Oh, you guys, I'm so silly. I didn't save it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I feel ridiculous. So now this should totally work. Let's see. Yep. Okay. And then, because that works, let's do, I wonder if we need any parameters. I think the other one, tranquility state, almost seems like an optional thing here. Okay, so it looks like you always need some sort of who is cool, right? And then I can say like person, and we can just do z string. And I'm not like the best user of Zod or whatever. And then here we can just change this to person. And content looks like it just returns, like this would be like our actual calculation. And then Andrew Van Beek is the coolest person in the world, no doubt about it. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Andrew's cool. See, on my other code editor, it's auto save on my other computer. Who is cool? Tell me who is cool. And this. All right. Just hit Shift Command R. And then now we've got a fourth tuple. And then I can say, who was cool? And it should say, Andrew. Allow once. There you go. And this has been Run the Docs. I think it's a great docs website is because we learned how to build an MCP server. You know, like now I'm pretty confident I can build an MCP server that talks to like multiple services and functions. And we all learned this from start to finish within like 30 minutes. Great docs. Whoever wrote the MCP docs, great job. All right, take it easy. And then, by the way, if you're always passionate about docs, check out docs.dev. That's our company. And then if you want to be featured on Run the Docs, let me know. Thanks.